Hello everyone, hey, welcome back. Part 2 of this wonderful ragtime number called the Bugle Call Rag, which was made very famous in a recording by this guy, the late great Mr. Sidney Torch, who was one of the star theatre organists of the UK. Welcome everyone, my name's Tom Horton. I'm a UK-based professional organist. I get up to loads of things in the world of electronic organs, church organs and of course theatre organs I'm also known for. Do please hit subscribe, check out my website tomhorton.co.uk. So we're now going to take a little stroll into the Bugle Call Rag Part 2. So if you're wondering where's Part 1, it's in the playlist, it's here on the channel. And we talked about a drum intro, we talked about using one registration and adding octaves and just an odd stop or two. And so in the last video we finished off with page 3 of the sheet music, which is a repeat of the last 8 bars of the chorus that goes like this, the English horn brightening it up. And that brought us to the end of the last video, so if you want to go back and watch that one first to get the ideas of the first part of the arrangement. If you're enjoying my channel and would like to support the channel to help it grow, you can also get lots of bonus goodies on patreon.com/keyboard skills pro, including an annotated copy of the Bugle Call Rag sheet music, and you can also get screenshots of my registrations. So as we actually play through and change the registrations, you'll be able to see all of those there and maybe recreate those on your own home virtual organ or electronic organ, whatever it is you are playing at home. So where do we go from here? Well, we've now finished the first playthrough of the piece, and it then says after the repeat in red on page 3, where we've done the reprise of the last 8 bars of the chorus, I've put there number 4 adds English horn on the repeat. We put that on as a 16th foot stop to brighten it, giving it a bit more bite, and then we're going to repeat back to the beginning, DC, where we are going to press preset 5, general preset 5. I've set these up in as a special order, and what we've actually got, look, is the drum kit again. So we're going to reuse the thing that we did at the beginning, which was our drum introduction. So, or maybe we could do something different. We could maybe go, or we could go, so we could go cha-cha-cha, cha-cha-cha, hold, and 1, 2, 3. So because maybe we don't want to do the same introduction as we did at the thing, and of course that's the beautiful thing with drums, you can make them sound very interesting. So on the pedals, look, I've got bass drum and cymbal. I've got a timpani on this particular theatre drum, but normally it's bass drum and cymbal. And the accompaniment, we have got the snare drum and a wood block, just to give it a little extra spice. So I'm going to go from the end, and then you'd hit your preset that has all the stops off, drums, pedal, and accompaniment. Then we're going to go something like that. Any rhythm that you fancy, you can just go anything at all, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Okay, we're then going to go to the solo. Now, do you notice what I've done there is I told a little fib. We haven't actually turned all the stops off. We've turned them off on the grate and on the pedals and on the accompaniment, but the solo up here, my solo keyboard, my third manual, is going to have on that really nice bright set of 8-foot stops. So I've got English horn, tuba, trumpet, tuba horn, but I've got the sub-octave on. So these are 8-foot stops, but they're also going to sound as if I'm playing them down here as well with the sub-octave. Because remember when in the first video we talked about that being at the beginning, and we said we didn't want the lower brass because we wanted it to sound, as it says in the music on page 1, second line, it says bugle call. But this time maybe the bugler has rallied the troops, the camp is awake, so now we're going to have some members of the band joining in. So we're going to get some trombones, we're going to get some tubas and things. We're going to really get that bright sound going. So I'm going to play my drum fill-in, I suppose we'll call it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to play on the second line, that solo, the bugle call. So we're not going to play the introduction again because we've already done that. So drum fill, 4 bars, and then the solo. And then we're going to change to the next preset, which has got a rather fun set of sounds in. Let me just quickly show you these on the screen. Now, don't worry if you can't quite get the change in rhythm. You can just put a pause in. Bum 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 bum. Do, 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 and then pick yourself up. So what I've done now is we've got on the solo here, we've got some 8-foot reeds. So we've got, again, the horn, the tubas, the trumpets, the oboe, but no octaves this time, just 8 foot. A lighter set of 8-foot stops, 8-foot tibias, light reeds, saxophone, oboe, strings, 4-foot tibias and strings, and also the 2 2/3 and 2s. Remember we talked about those, the mutations, in one of that registration video we did. So this is a kind of a Blackpool-y. I've also got the xylophone look. So I've still got that on the top. Look over here. Here we go. Looks, I've got my, and then I've got this nice bright sound here. Again, the pedals and the accompaniment, we haven't really changed those much. So we've got diapasons, we've got strings, we've got flute at 8 foot, and we've got the nice 16 and 8s, mostly flute ranks like tibias, bourdons, but I've actually got a 16-foot reed, big sort of 16-foot tuba kind of stop on this one. Orphiclide, I think it's pronounced. Orphiclide, is it? Can't read, it's too small. So yeah, so that's what we've got set up for preset 6. So we'll go back to our linking. Okay, so dum ba da 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 bum bum 1. Hold. It could be something simple like this. You could go 1 2 3, 1 2 3, hold, and 1 2 3. Doesn't have to be complicated for a fill-in. Then we go to our solo. And then we're going to play, carrying on with those 8 foots on up here, look. Okay, so you see what I'm doing? I'm jumping between the keyboards. So the solo, and I'm using the vocal line for the solo. You're bound to fall for the Bugle Call Rag. Da 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 da. But do you notice in the piano of the right hand, there's this little rhythm? No, it's not. Maybe it's that. Something like that we could use. We could go da dum ba bum. So we're going to do this, look. Or that's the rhythm that's written 1 2 and 3 4 1. So it's like a fill-in, you see. So 1. So I'm using that xylophone and that nice bright 8-foot registration there, 8s, 4s, 2 2/3, the mutations there on the tibias and the flutes, the 2-foot tibias. There's no couplers there. Look, it's just all nice and straightforward. But again, it's that kind of sort of brightish Blackpool-esque kind of sound, you see. Okay, so let me just put the pedals back on. Why can't we do that? There we go, that's better. So yeah, so I'm using a little bit of that rhythm in the piano score. And again, this is the thing, what you've got to remember. We're only using the score as a guide. We're borrowing bits when we feel they're appropriate. So I'm going to go. Solo. And then we're going to go, so thin or fat, young or old, shake their shoulders bold, down to the great. And there we're going to use the great registration for the melody line. Okay, so I hope that's all making sense, and you can see there we're trying to use registrations effectively. We're not kind of, you know, pressing lots of things. I mean, yes, I'm using general presets here, and obviously that does make life a lot easier, but you could easily do this with divisional pistons changing, adding a few stops by hand, you know, however you feel that you want to register it. So here we go from the reprise then. Fill in 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then fill, solo, great, missed the flat there, okay, so you see that xylophone adds a nice little pep to it, doesn't it? Into the chorus, that was my 6th registration, number 7. Now number 7 is actually number 3 from the first video, so I'm using that same big registration there, look, and what I've done is I've got the octave on, so it's 16-foot reeds, tibias, diapason, 8-foot reeds, nothing too bright. I haven't got the English horns on, so it's kind of the more mellow reeds, clarinet, sax, tibia, strings, 4-foot tibias and strings, and then the octave, so nothing above 4 foot on the stops, then the octave there do the work. Dun, dun, dun. So that's quite nice, and that takes us through the solo. I did actually put on the sub-octave there just for fun. Make sure that that finishes. So we want that fourth beat, look. And obviously I'm travelling a little bit further because of my sort of layout here, but your solo manual will be here, so you wouldn't have so far to jump. But make sure that little riff, take your time there, learn that. I've sort of memorised that, so I can then just drop straight down onto my chorus keyboard, the great. And putting that little ending on the end there. Last little thing to finish off with, we're going to do something a little bit fun, which is where we're going to go back and do some improvising. Okay, so once we've done the chorus, we want to go back and maybe play it through again, but use the solo keyboard as a solo kind of thing. So I've just finished there, look, so I've gone, what are we doing? So we're on, got the reeds up here, my big sound here. I would then go back to page 1, play the solo again, and then play through the whole thing of the verse, but improvising every bit you can on the solo keyboard. And I'm not going to show you how to do improvising. We've done that in some other videos, and you know, if you're not comfortable about improvising a complete melody, all you have to do is take the tune and just add some extra touches to it. But I have actually done a 3-part video series called Improvisation for Beginners. So if that's something that you feel is not too strong, then you could, if you wanted to, you could have a go at those videos and see how to do it. But something like this, so dum ba ba da dum. So when we hit the chorus, we go back into the actual music, but that whole solo section is improvised. As I say, again, we're using that number 7 preset in my case. I've already got my big sound ready. Final chorus. Here comes the solo. Now, we're then going to do a little thing called a drum solo. In the Sidney Torch recording, there was this brilliant solo using a thing called a choke cymbal. I think I remember that correctly. And he would go... So it's like a drum solo, but using a cymbal on this wonderful Christie organ. Again, do listen to the recording. It's a, I mean, I'm only here offering a very humble version of it, but I like to think it's a little tribute to Mr. Sidney Torch, who I'm a great admirer of his playing skills. Growing up as a young organist many years ago. And by the way, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about some of the great British theatre organists of the heyday, Quentin MacLean, Sidney Torch, Ina Barger, Reginald Dixon and so on, there's a company called Sterndale Records run by a great friend of mine called Terry Hepworth, and he has got a huge library of 78s, long play records, gramophone records, many of which were from the BBC, sorry, not the BBC, yeah, BBC Broadcast, Decca. There are these huge catalogues of theatre organists, and so what he does, he samples the original discs, sometimes original recording discs, and then he digitizes but restores the audio to go on CD and now on digital download. You'll find them on Amazon, you'll find them on iTunes, you'll find them on Spotify. So if you type in theatre organ, you might find some on there. There were a couple of albums which actually featured all Sidney Torch's, or a lot of Sidney Torch's famous recordings. So they often used to do live broadcasts from the cinemas in the old days, but also release singles as well for people to purchase and play at home. So so do make a point of listening to certainly Sidney Torch's recording of the Bugle Call Rag. So in the original, he does this cymbal kind of solo. So I thought we'd sort of do something along that line. And so what we're going to do in the registration, this is the next preset. So we've just finished the improvisation, we've gone into the chorus. This is the last hurrah, if you will, of this piece, and we're going to use this thing. Now notice what I'm doing there. I've got, on the pedals, I've got 16-foot reed, diaphone, tibia, big flute, 8-foot reed, diapason, tibia 8, string 8, clarinet, the works basically. But I've also got my bass, drum and cymbal on like we had at the beginning. And the idea is that the pedal line is the thing that's playing the music. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the start of the chorus on page 3, and we're going to use the first 8 bars of the chorus as a kind of a framework to do this drum solo. The accompaniment has got on the snare drum, the tom-tom, the tambourine and the woodblock. Why? Just because. Okay, so we're going to go, notice on the chorus it says E flat 7, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, back to B flat, 2, 3, 4, down to F, ba-dum, dum, ba-dum, and then B flat. Now, obviously, if you look at the music and going, well, that's actually not quite what it says, Tom. Well, what I've done is I've slightly varied it to make it sound a bit more neater and tidier, because we want it to go E flat, which of course is the subdominant of number 4 of B flat major. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, tonic 1, F, which is 5, dominant, goes to B flat, and then we're going to carry on. What happens in between those pedals is your drum solo, which is on the accompaniment. Now what we can do is, we don't just have to use our left hand, we can use our right hand as well. So what does that entail? Well, it entails us doing this. whatever you want to do, basically. It can be anything. You might want to practice doing some drumming on your dining room table. Doom, doom, ba-doom, doom, ba-doom. Just don't play on the first beat. Let the pedal come in. So let's work through a couple of ideas. So I'm going to go, I could use the chorus rhythm line. I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. So I could go, hold me baby, let's syncopate. I could do that if I wanted to. I could play the whole thing and just use the pedal on the first beat. So we're going to go 1, B flat, then down to F, then back to B flat, 1, and then walk down to the chorus reprise, which is going to be the last bit. Okay, so I'm going to play, first of all, as my first drumming solo idea, I'm going to use the chorus rhythm. Actually, here we go. So dum ba dum ba da dum bum dum dum bum. There we go. So that's just basically using hold me baby, let's syncopate to that blue melody. Just hesitate while you break a da dum. Bum, bum, bum. And notice the pedal line, look at the end goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's B flat, A flat, G, F, and that then goes into the E flat for the last 8 bars. Now, we could then get a bit more adventurous on the rhythms by using 2 hands. So we could do this. Let's lead into it. What are we on now? Number 7. So we've done our solo. And then we're going to go. Okay. Now, I say don't play on the first beat. If you want to, that's okay. But I quite like the. Okay, you can sometimes bring in, but 1. And whatever it might be. So you could write out your own rhythms so you know exactly what you're going to play. If you're feeling confident enough, you could do something different each time, live, improvise it. But that's what I call the drum solo, and that's a little bit that we borrowed from Sidney Torch's famous recording, where there is this cymbal solo, and it's truly brilliant. You really should hear it. So here we go then. So we're going to go. Change the preset, that will help in the right place. And as you're walking down, dum bum bum ba, last preset to bring everything back in. Notice how on the pedals, look, the last preset has still got the cymbal, dum ba ba ba, da 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 ba ba da, to give us that nice counting sound. Big noise now, a bit like the big chorus preset. Okay, the octaves on, got the English horn on, so it's just a big ending to finish off with. Notice how the rhythm look. Do 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 do, giving that beat in between a lot of the time just to help the sound of the cymbal die away a little bit. So we're going to finish off after the drums. Dum dum. Or whatever it might be then. You could go, that could be an end. You could go, as we did. You could go, you could go. So there's lots of ideas there of how to end it. So there we are, gang. That is our arrangement that we've put together as friends of the Bugle Call Rag, and it's my little tribute, a very humble tribute to the great Sidney Torch, who I know many of you watching will know of that name and admire his playing and his recordings. He was a truly brilliant guy, along with many of his contemporaries who were stunning organists like Reg Dixon, Quentin MacLean and many others. If you've not heard Sidney Torch, do make an effort to find some recordings online or buy one of the CDs, as I mentioned, from Sterndale Records. Well worth listening to. But I know Terry and his colleague have gone on to digital download technology in recent years, so I'm sure you'll find them on places like Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music and other places as well. Do support the channel, folks. Hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up, share the video on Facebook groups, wherever you want. And I'll say thank you very much for your company. I'll see you soon for another fun piano or organ video here on Keyboard Skills Pro, and we'll lead you out the last few bars of the Bugle Call Rag. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care and enjoy your music.